Hey there, thank you for staying with us on Niger Live Television, and more importantly, for staying with us on the paper review segment of our daily programming here at Niger Live TV studio. My name is Henry Ahamuefula. A jolly good morning to you, even though I'm not quite certain how jolly we really are with the stories we're seeing on the papers this morning, stories we've been seeing from yesterday up until this morning, stories around insecurity. These are not very beautiful stories, but we'll start off the paper review this morning with the Punch paper, and the Punch paper rather linked with politics and its off 2027 election. It's around Tinubu and APC bigwig speaking from the Governance Advisory Council backs Hamzat, that's the Deputy Governor of Lagos State for governor. Alrighty, that particular story has riders. It says APC will reclaim Bauchi. That's the party vow, and it also there's a story from Falake which says that coalitions are not a threat to Tinubu. That's Falake saying that. He did that when he picked it from yesterday for Mr. President, 100 million naira from, by the way. And away from that, presidency counters Northwest, neglect claims, lists ongoing project is a story that makes for a good read on page 26. Page 26 read there. On page 31, there's a story that also is of interest. It's around the House of Representatives approving Tinubu's $516 billion loan for Sokoto-Badagry Highway. Yet another loan, one would say. But yeah, that's a story that the Punch is reporting this morning. You might find that an interesting read, and get a copy of the Punch paper to get details into the story. Another story is around xenophobic protests that's escalating in South Africa with locals targeting school children. Recall that sometime yesterday, the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa had also come out to tell South Africans to remember the role that other African countries did play, during the apartheid and all of those, and that they should slow down, in fact, and embrace other Africans, South Africans, many South Africans. I mean, not the entirety of all South Africans, but certain groups and many South Africans are not having, the impact that foreigners, the reported impact of foreigners, especially African foreigners in their country, and so well, they're protesting and they really also attacking some of these migrants. Well, a story that might also interest you is on page 5 of the paper. It's around Nima evacuating 12 children, 10 infants, 159 others from Libya. Libya is also a country that's been restive, yeah, but it's a good thing that we're seeing an evacuation of people, and particularly 12 children and 10 infants being evacuated. A good move right there. Well, on the US-Iran war, NNPC hikes oil prices by $7 per barrel. That's a story you also get on page 47 of the Punch paper this morning. Real quick away from the Punch paper, we'll check out another paper this morning, and let's check out what the Vanguard paper has for us this morning. At least with politics, says that 2027 ADC PRP blow hot. The writers to that story has ADC writing to the CJN saying, we stand at a grave risk of exclusion. And this is as they tell the CJN, and to impress on the Supreme Court the need for the case to be heard, the case they have at the Supreme Court to be heard. This case needs to be heard at best in 3 days' time. This is so that the ADC is not excluded from the whole politicking come 2027. Well, there's also PRP that's on that particular rider with the talk around their restraint not being weakness, and they are telling whoever cares to listen right now, their restraint should not be mistaken for weakness. That's PRP. One would wonder exactly why we're having these bickerings also in the PRP. Just as ADC has such bickerings, the Labour Party has such bickerings, the NNPP has such bickerings. One would also wonder why it's maybe only the APC that's not having these bickerings, and the talks around accusations that the APC and the current leadership are the ones causing these bickerings and this crisis in all these political parties would again gain momentum with all of these talks. Well, away from that, let's check out some other story on the Vanguard paper this morning, and there is a story around UAE quitting OPEC May 1. They say they are going to quit OPEC May 1, and not just OPEC, now OPEC Plus as well. They also raise concern over market stability. On page 40 has details of the story. UAE that had joined sometime in 1970s, right? If I got that correct. They're deciding to quit. They won't be the first anyways to quit OPEC over some of these concerns. Angola had at some point also quit. Is Angola? Yeah. On page 14 we'll get you that story. On page 7 there is a story around family recounting a horrific killing of Abuja core member demanding justice. Yet another extrajudicial killing of a Nigerian, and not just any Nigerian this time, a core member. Extrajudicial killing of a core member. This is reportedly done by members of the military, although there have been clarifications that are ongoing in regards to that story. You want to check out that story on page 7. You also will get clarifications on the military side of it, but well, the way they take the story, it's the family recounting the horrific killing of that Abuja core member. That's not a way to go down. Not a way to go down at all. And away from that, real quick, I'll check out what the Daily Trust paper is reporting. It's around the ADC and ADC battling time and demanding verdict, and also suspected killer cop arrested to face disciplinary panel. It's just how it's still being a safe on the safe side, with the Daily Trust saying suspected killer cop. This is a cop that was caught on camera in full public gear executing a dispatch rider who is a suspect. The PPRO of Delta State Police Command has clarified and also said that this killer cop has been arrested and is to face this disciplinary panel already on his way to Abuja as of today. Yeah. Well, away from that, on page 5, there's also another read there that would maybe leave you sad as well. That's bandits raiding Zamfara community, even as residents flee. EFCC chairman is also making it to the Daily Trust paper this morning with his talk around 6 in 10 university students being Yahoo. And that's like internet fraudster, just so you know. And so he says 6 out of 10 university students are into Yahoo, and that includes perhaps even girls now, right? The guys, women, men. I mean, that's the import of his statement. He says 6 in every 10 university students are into fraudster. What statistics, what research is he relying on to make such claims? Well, you want to find out details of the statement on page 5, right, of the Daily Trust paper this morning. Real quick, we'll check out the Daily Sun paper with NLC crying there on the lead story of the Daily Sun, crying out over workers' worsening condition. It says even if you give 1 million naira to workers, it's not enough with the inflation that we're currently experiencing in the country. Well, it says higher fuel price, unstable naira, and inflation is taking toll on workers. It seeks government interventions. The story that you get on page 6 of the paper. Also, that particular story on the 6 varsity students out of 10 students being Yahoo boys coming from the EFCC is also on the Daily Sun. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Olanikpekun Olukoyode, his raised concerns that about 6 in every 10 students in Nigerian universities are involved in cybercrime. He made the remarks at the 8th biennial conference of the Committee of Pro-Chancellors of State-Owned Universities in Nigeria held in Kano, where he described the trend as a disturbing development. He says his research in the last 1 year has shown that about 6 out of 10 students in our universities are into cybercrime, and it is a very disturbing situation. So he noted that findings from EFCC investigations and operations revealed widespread involvement of undergraduates in internet fraud and related offenses. Now, he's not even saying, like I mentioned earlier, 6 out of 10 male students. He says 6 out of 10 varsity students. This also incorporates female students into this mix. Yeah. Close to the masthead of the Daily Sun, court affirms FCCPC powers to probe medical negligence. It's on page 27. Page 27, read right there. And away from that, Reps Deputy Speaker Carlo urges law school to dismiss petition seeking withdrawal of his certificate. Page 6, find out why that is. Alleged $65,000 fraud. I don't have personal contact with contractor, says Senator Kingibe. And McCord Party disowns Ibadan coalition, insists on fielding presidential candidate. And on page 6, 2027, our contest win, says Tinubu, as it picks APC forms by proxy. Anyways, he did pick the APC form by proxy. Alrighty, the blueprint paper. COVID-19, Senate charges NCDC on surveillance, testing and contact tracing, yeah? And on the 2026 Hajj inaugural flight also is on the paper. It says the Hajj inaugural flight for 2026 is to take over on May 3 in Abuja. That's coming from Nakan. And the Middle East war also makes it to the blueprint paper. World Bank says that Middle East war is to spark biggest energy price surge in 4 years. That's coming from the World Bank. It says also the writers there, slow growth for developing economies imminent. And there's also the shock as the UAE intends to exceed OPEC Friday. That story you get on page 20 of the paper this morning. Kogi warns against treating malaria. This is a story that I like to think is of interest also on the blueprint paper this morning. Righty, on the blueprint paper you also have that particular story right there. Let's real quick leave the blueprint paper and check out what the Daily Independent is reporting. It says experts point structural rot, graft in power sector collapse. NNPC reports 5-year high 1.71 million barrel per day oil output. In 5 years, this is the highest we've seen, 1.71 billion barrel per day oil output. On page 7 of the Daily Independent, you get that read. Tinubu signals re-election bid also makes its way to the paper. Senate reconsiders new bill to diversify police funding. Obafemi Awolowo University orders 3-week mid-semester break amid students' protests. You find out why that is and what the protests are about when you get a copy of the Daily Independent. And yeah, another story that's of interest there is around the ADC writing CJN and also a court affirming FCCPC powers to investigate medical negligence right there. On the story around the ADC writing CGN seeking urgent ruling on party leadership torso, the writer there says they are warning also that delay threatens party's participation in 2027 election. As mentioned earlier, the ADC I mentioned has written to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere, asking the Supreme Court to urgently deliver judgment in a pending appeal involving the party's leadership crisis, and that is contained in a letter that was sent to the CJN. Right. Away from that, to the Guardian. Opacity, weak audit trail, federal government spending amid abuse of Fiscal Responsibility Act. That's a story that you get on page 6. Court orders MTN Airtel to resume airtime lending services. It's also a story that you get on page 3. Recall that MTN had sometime 2 weeks ago mentioned that it would not be able to continue with these loan services it would usually offer to customers. But there is a court now that's ordering not just MTN now, Airtel that had also followed suit to stop that, to resume airtime lending services. I wonder what the court would hinge this directive on. But hey, you find details of that story on page 3 of the paper. Federal government moves against malnutrition, OK's 2026 and 2025 nutrition policy. 2027, GAC adopts Hamzat as consensus candidate. SANU to shut down varsities over stored negotiation on Friday. A lot of things to, well, a lot of things that are coming on a Friday, yeah. EFCC probes VCs over inflated contracts, students' fees diversion. On page 4, you get that story this morning. Terrorists threaten to execute 176 Kwara abductees. A sad one there. Rivers, stakeholders bemoan lull in governance, multiple stalled projects is also contained on the Guardian paper this Wednesday morning. The New Telegraph paper has pretty much the same stories. The Nigerian Tribune also has pretty much the same stories, and there's also something pretty interesting there on the Nigerian Tribune around health. It says e-cigarette emits toxic metals, raising new health concerns. A study says that on the Nigerian Tribune paper this morning. The leadership gives a revelation into how APC stopped governors from buying up nomination forms, and also this is as National Assembly members are jittery as governors take charge in states, and Tinubu picks some, of course. That's a story you get on the leadership paper this morning. Well, that's pretty much all of the stories we could take on our paper review segment this Wednesday morning. My name is Henry Ahamuefula. Do have a good one.